Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke with Reverend Yutaka Yamada, today being Wednesday the 9th of June or the 29th of April in the 9th year of Chongluguk. Let's begin as always by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parent and True Parents. Jombe, Paro. And let's recite our family pledge both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가정 멘세 6. 천일국 주인 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님과 참 부모님의 대신 가정으로서 천을 움직이는 가정이 되어 하늘의 축복을 주변에 연결시키는 가정을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 6. Our family, the owner of Chongluguk, pledges to become a family that moves heavenly fortune by embodying the Heavenly Parent and True Parents, and to perfect a family that conveys heaven's blessing to our community by centering on true love. Thank you. So I'd like to ask Greg Stone if he could offer the opening prayer today.
Please join me in prayer. Our dearest Heavenly Parent, beloved true parents, heaven, earth, humankind. We're so grateful that we can gather together each morning across the Oceania region, and we can be studying your word, especially we learning so much about True Mother, and at this time how Mother has displayed and shown herself as really the feminine aspect of God. We never really understood clearly until now. More and more we're learning about her heart and about your heart, the other part of your heart, which is a feminine aspect. Thank you. Please guide our mother, especially now she's explaining to us about the great importance of the culture and the founding of the Little Angels and the Universal Ballet and the different aspects that True Parents have created in order to build Chonuguk. Please guide us this morning and also our discussion and our readings, that we may be able to understand you better and also share together. I pray in the name of Greg and Rachel Stone, Blessed Central Family.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's join together and offer a warm welcome to Reverend Yutaka as he shares this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, brothers and sisters. Thank you for joining Morning from the K. Today is also the beginning, a new moment, a new day. What kind of day? What kind of moment is waiting for us? Waiting of each of us. We will put our heart to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents, and let's start, begin the grateful day. So today already June 9, there is each moment we can find what kind of meaning there is. So we can have a great day. Now we are sharing about True Mother's autobiography. So depends on the chapter and depends on the contents. Sometimes Mother is sharing more internal heart, internal sharing, and some part also sharing, especially the providential activities. So even each different subject or topic, how our life and our True Mother's message will be connected. We will find that there is some special message which heaven try to give today to each of us. So when we find some heart or connection with heaven, we will create the new life together for today. And not only Fundoke, also through sharing, even through the 7 minutes prayer time, we can find the message. So through also today's Fundoke, let's find and connect with our heart. Now we are sharing about this chapter, is especially talking about Little Angels and also Universal Ballet. How they try to share the Korean, the culture of heart and culture of Korea, and also culture of heaven. We could see, and also Three Parents life course. So let's see today's contents. Activities to create a culture of heart. Especially this culture of heart, and this chapter is not talking about art. Also sharing about media, education, and business contents. So those activity of providential matter is also coming. Trimada is sharing. So behind of that, what kind of culture and what kind of hope and vision True Parents had put. So we can see this one. Media, education, culture and arts and sport, everything based on the culture of heart. So this is Chon Sung-yeon message. The world based on the culture of heart that is rooted in the original lineage is a world where true love comes to the surface. We have already entered the age when heart manifests globally, and we can foresee the coming of the world of the culture of heart, where everything is one. In that world, cultures will be united. It will be one world, free from war and strife, and veritable kingdom of heaven on earth and in heaven. Once we establish the world based on the culture of heart, everything will be fulfilled. When we see the society, what kind of world and what kind of situation we can face, already when we see the externally, there is no more border, no more boundaries. We can visit to the nation, and even we can connect by internet, online, everything, and we can meet everyone in the world. This is also similar with the world of heart. So how we can create the world of heart based on the Simjong heart culture. So heaven's culture and earth culture, we unite together. This become the kingdom of heaven and kingdom of heaven on earth and in heaven. So this is our way, and this is the part of the sharing of culture of heart. So this one, in media, education, culture and art and sports. So Three Parents did really many kind of way and many kind of field. So continue our mother's autobiography. Adeline Duels was the company's artistic director. Moon Hun-suk, my daughter-in-law, a Little Angels alumna, who studied ballet at the Princess Grace Academy and was a principal dancer in the Washington Ballet Company in Washington, D.C., was a founding member. In the summer of 1984, the Universal Ballet gave its first performance, Cinderella, at the Little Angels Performing Arts Center in Seoul. So this Universal Ballet was established. Our Hun-soo-nim, Julian Moon, was one of the founding member. So first concert was Cinderella. So first performance was Cinderella, and after that, this Universal Ballet show the several performances. Until the early 2000s, the Universal Ballet featured the Russian classic ballet style. After that, it expanded its repertoire to include European romantic ballet and modern ballet. It now performs ballet from Korea and other nations and creates its own innovative and original performances. It was the first Korean ballet company and the second in Asia to perform John Clark's masterpiece of dramatic ballet, Onegin. Furthermore, it was the first Korean company to perform Sir Kenneth Macmillan's Romeo and Juliet, a masterpiece in the repertoire of the UK Royal Ballet Company. The company also created unique ballet based on Korean folk tales and traditions. One of its most famous works, Shimcheong, created in 1986, is a tale of filial love. It has been performed 200 times in 10 countries, touching the hearts of people all over the world. During its world tour in 2012, the company was invited to showcase the beauty of Korean ballet in the global centers of ballet, Moscow and Paris. Chunyang, an original ballet based on an ancient story of pure love, and the ballet musical Shimcheong, the cast for children, were both very well received. So through like this, Universal Ballet is performing not only Eastern traditional tales and also Western story. So Eastern things and Western things, more than 10 countries, more than 200 times, the Universal Ballet show this performance. And Hun-Sun-nim from the beginning lead this Universal Ballet. And also she herself also performed as the main ballerina in Universal Ballet. So Shimcheong and Chunyan and Cinderella. Have you heard about the story of Shimcheong? Shimcheonjeong. This is the famous story. The one young girl have an old father who cannot see eyes. So Shimcheong, she offer her life and try to save her father's life. So those kind of Korean story. When we see the Korean story, Shimcheonjeong, Chunyanjeong, this is showing really the tradition, vertical or heaven's heart to filial piety, even also the purity. So I prepared a short video about the Shimcheong, Universal Ballet, Shimcheong. This is, I think, just 1 or 2 minute video plus Hun-Sun-nim interview video. Then we can see what is a Universal Ballet and also the contents. Okay, so let's watch this video.
Now it's East meets West. Korea's Universal Ballet Company is celebrating 30 years since the premiere of its seminal work, Shimcheong. The piece tells a story of the traditional Korean folktale through the medium of Western ballet. Our Kwon Jang-ho takes a look at the history of the piece as it prepares for its latest run in the first edition of our weekly culture feature, Culture Spot.
A beautiful young woman, Shimcheong, is about to perform the ultimate act of her daughter's love by sacrificing herself in order to save her blind father. This story is one of Korea's most famous folktales, told to generations of children, and is akin to Western classics such as Cinderella and Snow White. It's been told in various traditional forms for centuries, but was adapted into a ballet by the Universal Ballet Company in 1986, and is now celebrating its 30th anniversary with a new run at the Seoul Arts Center. Originally, it was a trailblazer of its time. It was created for global audiences as a way to introduce Korean culture to the West. But under the leadership of its experienced foreign director, Adrian Delis, it also raised the standards of ballet in Korea to heights it had never seen before.
And back then, in 1984, when the company was founded, the ballet in Korea was very, very primitive. So we were bringing really a new culture into Korea, and it was a Western culture. But even back then, I think she understood and knew that a ballet company needed to have their own original works.
Over the years, it has been staged over 200 times in 15 countries, gracing such prestigious venues as the Lincoln Center in New York and the Stanislavski Theater in Moscow to rave reviews.
Everywhere we've gone, audiences are really, really moved with this story. And I think the fact that it's based not on romantic love, but parental, the love between a parent and a child, which is a universal emotion. So no matter where you're from, it's something everybody can relate to.
The piece features Korean music, set decorations and costumes, bringing traditional Korean culture to life.
In third act we have like there are three fiancés, and then the dancing is beautiful. It's Korean. It's called hanbok. Yes, yes. And then of course in Russia we never seen it. And first time I saw it, and like how it's like moving, and then it was really beautiful. And then I was like, wow, it's really cool.
Shimcheong is now not only the company's signature piece, it's also become a signature for Korean ballet in general, with the title role being the Korean equivalent of the White Swan role in Swan Lake.
I know someone at another ballet company who told me that she really wishes she could play the role of Shimcheong at least once before she retires. As a Korean ballerina, it really is one of the main roles that everyone wants to do.
Shimcheong will continue to be one of the staples of the UBC's repertoire, but there has been concern that there haven't been more successful works like it for Korean ballet as a whole.
It's not easy to put on a successful ballet production. You have to have a great choreographer to make a great piece, but you also have to look at previous successful cases and learn from them. It's important to carry on from where they left off.
I absolutely do believe we need to continue to create original works, whether it be based on these legendary folk tales or whether it be something very contemporary, modern. This kind of creative work is something that Korean ballet needs to keep developing.
Shimcheong remains a rare pearl of the Korean ballet scene, and after this current run ends on the 18th, its next performance on the international stage is set to be in Jakarta this September. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Yes, so how was the video, Eve short video, but the first one was a little bit old, but could you find the Funsunim was showing the performance? That was main ballerina was Funsunim. So she did by herself initiate this as the main actress and showing Shimcheong. And the second one is kind of the media showing and also the interview. So we could see how really Funsunim. And also they said all Korean ballerina want to play this Shimcheong Chunyan. This story is really famous. All people in Korea know this story. and showing this story, filial piety and pure love to the world. That's why when they play this performance ballet, they can proud. Not only just playing, also they put the heart and message about Korean culture and this internal and this beautiful tradition to the world. That's why Universal Ballet continuously showing and sharing those messages together. So this is Shimcheon. If you have opportunity, please also watch this beautiful ballet. So Little Angels and Universal Ballet, little bit different taste, right? So we could see that. Years ago, when Korea had nothing to offer the global culture, the Universal Ballet Company stood like a lonely crane. By overcoming many difficulties and touring every continent, it has shown all people Korea's high artistic standard. It will continue to go forward, guided by the love of God. So Mada is sharing about the Universal Ballet history and also the background. Even there are many kind of challenges in the beginning, but they overcame and they are shared God's love and they are guided by the love of God. So we could see this part, Mada is sharing about the little angels and Universal Ballet. They are guided by the love of God, and in the future, continuously, they will share the love of God. So Little Angels Universal Ballet, also please find the heart of culture behind that. So we'll go to the next part. So next chapter, sub-chapter is this one, the media expressing Universal Ballet. So continuation, Mada is now sharing about the media. So totally different about the culture and art and going to media. So topic is really different, but we can see about the media expressing universal value. The year 1975 was a time when a shadow of gloom hung over the world. The United States pulled out of Vietnam that April, leaving the country in the hands of communists. People were shocked and horrified as the communists in Vietnam and its neighbor Cambodia slaughtered entire populations. Across the globe, communism was gaining in strength. So topic was totally changed about the culture or beauty, now going to the media and the war. But anyway, Mada is sharing about the media and also the world situation. So let's think about 1975. Do you remember 1975? Mada is sharing through autobiography the topic by topic. So we have to follow. Now we are talking which era, which age, which place. Then we can connect well in the world level and Mada sharing and also the contents, right? So 1975, do you remember what kind of contents, what kind of things was happened? Where Mada was in 1975? Already we share the many times to the parents. Do you know where, right? To the parents stay. Yes. 1975. To father stay in America and preparing, already ending the Madison Square Garden rally and now preparing maybe Yankee Stadium rally. And also in Korea, there was blessing ceremony for 1,800 couples, and to parents proclaim the young missionary to send to all over the world. That was 1975. So in the world level, America left the country of Vietnam, and also there was many serious situation, the neighbor nation of Cambodia. So we can see the history, Vietnam, Cambodia. So many things was happen at that time. Okay, mother said, I was born in North Korea and I experienced and cruelty of communism and the wretchedness of war. So I knew very well that when Vietnam fell, it would lead to bloody massacre and the spread of its harsh ideology to neighboring countries. In Japan of the 1970s, the unification movement was growing, but communism was also gaining power. The Korean residents in Japan created separate pro-Seoul and pro-Pyongyang groups, and they often engaged in confrontation. My husband and I decided that the most effective way to influence Japan as a free society and protect it from communism would be to create a newspaper. When we see the mother's life, we could see what kind of life the mother spent. Mother was born in Anju in North Korea, and she passed through World War II and Korean War. And she saw many people who are suffering, people were killed, people were died. Mother had directly experienced about this war. She could feel and really can imagine the war in the world, the Vietnam, communism, and the suffering of the war in each nation and each world. So mother also sharing those messages. In democratic countries, the media is more often one side than balance, trying to gain market share. Editors pander to forces that persecute those who aren't politically correct or who practice a minority religion. My husband and I imagine a different kind of media, one that is constructive and represents fairness and absolute value. With this in mind, in January 1975, we founded the Sekai Nippo newspaper in Tokyo. So there were many things in many communists in the world, but inside of Japan, also there was two groups. One is pro-Seoul, one is pro-Pyongyang. One is the South Korean side, one is North Korean side. And unification movement was growing, but in the same time, this communist was growing together. That's why when we see the media, that time three parents saw in Japan's situation as a free nation, what is the most effective way to give the influence to society and to guide the people? This is the way to establish the newspaper company or media. That's why three parents established the company Sekai Nippo newspaper in Tokyo. So Sekai Nippo, Sekai is world and Nippo is daily. So some kind of the world daily newspaper. The parents established this newspaper company in Tokyo, Japan. Our Japanese members had great expectations for the paper, but found that maintaining a newspaper is like climbing a hill, carrying a heavy load on a dark night. Left-wing groups opposed us in every conceivable way. At the same time, however, Sekai Nippo gained support from law-abiding citizens and anti-communist organizations. It became a newspaper loved by the Japanese people. The power of truth protected Japan from communism. To this day, Sekai Nippo fearlessly reports the objective truth. So in the society, the power or influence of media is really strong. And keeping this media company or newspaper company is not simple things. We saw many times about also Seigei Ribo or Washington Times, how difficult to keep, but continuously invest to protect, invest to keep this company. Then finally, those newspaper company was accepted from the society, even from the government, and to show the right message to the society and the nation and world. So this Sekai Nippo was started in 1975 in Japan and continuously share the right message and the correct message to the society. That's why the role of media is really important. This is each nation. Now there is few nation has a newspaper company under the Washington Times and this message. So we have to consider always how we can give the influence and work together with media. That's why Turumada established IMAP. So this is for the media, how media person gather together to share the right message to the society. This is also the role of media. So True Parents established this company in Japan and also the several nations. So today our chapter, we are sharing about universal ballet and also the media. So there are many kind of field, but even in every field, True Parents initiate and try to create the original ideal world. So there are many kind of fields. Still, we have to involve and we have to develop. How much True Parents investment and plan was great. And can you imagine if True Parents was not here and did not initiate anything, what kind of world we could see? What kind of standard? What kind of vision we could see that? That's why True Parents investment and life itself is totally change the world together with our heavenly parents. So through reading Hundok and sharing our mother's autobiography, we could find the mother's heart and even our heavenly parents' heart. So today we share about universal ballet and media. Let's find the message of heaven, and today also create new grateful day. So thank you for joining all our brothers and sisters. Today also the grateful day. Let's have offer the victory to our heavenly parents and true parents and share our happiness and love. Thank you very much once again. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Reverend Yutaka, as always. Yes, those videos are so beautiful to watch. Yesterday we finished with a couple of people wanting to share. They can go ahead if they like. I remember Seti was one of them. Yes, Seti.
Yeah. Is it?
I don't know. Ask.
Yeah,
John?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, I was just, when we were talking about culture, and in particular about our different nations and culture, my son is a Boy Scout here in Samoa, and I just remembered Mark Burfield. He's one of the Grand Masters of Scouts or something. He's one of the top leaders of Scouts in New South Wales. And one time I went to a Scouts Jamboree, and he had brought a couple of Scout Masters to the Peace Embassy for an event. And one of them was a Sea Scout Master. And so they invited us to the Jamboree, annual Jamboree, and it was in the bay. I forgot the name of the bay now, but there's a ferry goes there, and it's near the naval base on the North Shore. I don't know if you know that bay, but there's a beach near there and a huge field, and that's where annually they have a big Jamboree for the Scouts. And that particular day, we were on the beach. I was going on they had a regatta for the small yachts, and it was a glorious day, great, beautiful, sunny Sydney day. And that day, I just had kind of an epiphany of what, and it's kind of like Australian religion was this sun and sea, you know. There was just all kinds of crafts on the water, and just everyone was focused on the sea. And to me, it just felt like Heavenly Parents were saying, this is Australia. This is where you'll meet Australia. You know, it'll be out in the ocean and their speedos, and you know, not in the chapel, but out here in the sea and the sun, and you know, it was just, and there was all kinds of boats. There were these super fast yachts for the teenagers, and all variety of crafts on the water, and big ferries where people were having weddings, and but it just spoke to me of, and I think that's important for us to understand, that the Australian heart is that, you know, it's culturally, you know, it's the sea and the sun. They're connected to that. You know, that's what I wanted to share yesterday when we were talking about culture, in particular to the different nations. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that reminds me of the old, or the Love a Sunburnt Country, that traditional Australian poem that describes that as well. Yes. Okay. Yes, Reverend Ito, go ahead.
Okay. 1975 was a year when the Father dispatched 100 nations of first missionary. 1975, starting year of worldwide plans. After 7 years in Korea, another 7 years in United States, worldwide, national level. First 7 years for the Europeans, and the next 7 years for national level of Korea, and the third level for the worldwide, and for this the world missionary. Same time, we are heavily in the same time, we are first correspondent of Sekai Nippo, Japanese missionary. So we received training in Tokyo before we dispatched. At the time, Mr. Abe, who is the Israel National Messiah, was president of the company, and we received education. And at the time, there's countries and Islamic country and the different situation of the world. So we received a special advisor from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you know, and worldwide level professional information, you know, that Islamic countries shouldn't bring divine book because complete fundamental Islamist, you know, or you know, religion, you know. So you know, other communist countries also very difficult situation. So in West Africa, in almost country was first they received a negative reaction. Certain countries were kicked out, like you know, Cassie Ligny is a Benin first national missionary, and Benin was kicked out. So our country, Burkina Faso, also was supposed to be kicked out, but we, in a minimum, because of our good connection with government official, so we stayed there, but we cannot do mission activities underground. So American missionary become a businessman, I become a journalist, and I work as a Sekai Nippo correspondent. The same time, I met the current former president, and also a Catholic cardinal. In Africa, there's about 10 cardinals under the in Vatican, and one of them is in Burkina Faso. So I met the cardinal and make interview, and also met former founding president interview. By this, I could have many VIPs, good chance. So this is really the moment. Father has a vision, same time utilizing missionary as all information. So let's take the story.
Yes.
African do toilet. They, using, somebody using a hand, left hand. Islam never using right hand. Right hand and greeting and eating, left hand using the toilet. This is a, and also Africa is different and use many to very interesting story in Singapore. Also, the coup d'etat happened, anything happening, also we send news to the second. So second become very worldwide level, information and very powerful to the societies. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Ito. Some of your sound was cutting and wasn't so smooth today, but mostly I think we could understand. Thank you. Yes, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I know we're covering many facets today with from Little Angels to Korean ballet to media, but I found this book, yes, and I had never looked at it. It's the anniversary of the Little Angels, and the Little Angels are actually in Australia in 1973, and there's a photo of them here with Gough Whitlam. Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah, so I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. But it's amazing. It's got all the leaders from all the nations and their welcoming or proclamation, and it's got all the little angels in all the different nations, and it's got all the different members that were involved in the organization of it. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you.
serve Shimjung.
Yes, Debbie, go ahead.
Well, I just remember when Hun Suk Nim, on True Father's 70th birthday, we all went to Korea and danced or whatever we did, I'm not sure. But I remember Hun Suk Nim, she's so unaffected, there's nothing proud about her at all. She's so humble. And I remember she was dancing, and then she finished part of her number and she came over into the wing of the stage and she said, oh, could one of you guys get me a glass of water? She was just so natural, And another thing is, I wanted to say is, I know America got out of Vietnam, but I think I remember they were having such a hard time fighting the communists because of the way the communists, they had tunnels under the ground and all this, and they would mingle with the villagers, so you never knew, where the communists were, and I think it was a really difficult for them to defeat the communists. But I just wondered why also other countries, they didn't join in at that time. I don't understand, because they did before, all the countries got together, the UN fighting the communists, pushing them back, but I just wonder why other countries didn't involve themselves, or if they did, I just can't remember.
Yes, Jeff, go ahead.
Yes, they did. They were involved in the Vietnam War. Yeah, I worked recently for 6 years with a Australian Korean War vet who was assigned to New Zealand, and he was a spotter in the jungle. And this Australian guy, went into the jungle to find out where the Viet Cong were, and then he radioed that back to the Americans, and they came in to bomb those Viet Cong hideouts. So he had been many stories of his a very brave Australian guy married to a Kiwi. Yeah.
You
Just
did-
to say another thing, I saw a video not long ago. It was the Little Angels performing with Michael Jackson. So there's something, yeah, on stage in some events. So they've done quite a bit we probably don't know about. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Greg Stone, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just following up from Debbie. Yeah, back in the 70s, they had conscription in Australia, and it was taken on your birthday. So when you were just like 20 years old, I was also in the conscription. Depending on what birthday you had, you'd either drawn into the army or the military, and then many people went to Vietnam at that time. In our church, Kurt Jeed went to Vietnam, I believe, and also Alan Smith. Yeah, they were actually fighting in Vietnam. I was lucky to miss out on the conscription. Thank you.
Also, Koreans went and fought in Vietnam as well. Yeah.
Okay, Mrs. Arai, go ahead.
About two things. I saw Hunsukunim in Japan, I cannot remember exact year, around my blessing, means around 1970. She was a little girl with Dr. Park from United States and just stopped by Japan. Then she went to Korea for Little Angel School. And she was so little, primary school girl. From such an age, she left from United States. She left from her family, really dedicated dancing. But I believe she's not only like play dancing, kind of her mission for God. So really dedicated. Also like Dr. Park, how she attend to families, amazing. Also 1975, Vietnam has defeated by North Vietnam. So father worried about Kim Il-sung, tried to do same thing, looking for chance to do same thing like Vietnam. So father called us IOWC to Korea. Then, you know, from all over the world, young people in Korea, like a security for South Korea. Because if something happened, these parents, embassy, a nation, they don't be quiet. So I had a little bit because of the purpose also. Then that time, Korean people, even they cut themselves with on their blood. They wrote banner against North Korea during the Yoido rally. So really passionate that time to save South Korea. Also about culture, Korean culture took 5,000 years. Also God's chosen nation. So culture is every day our life, makes culture. So now we Hyojong culture, how to establish ourselves in our family, our community. This is really to me challenging because before I thought, how many generations do I need to be like Korean people? What they have, artistically. So now heavenly culture, Hyojong culture, how everyday life do I establish and show to the people, show our family, this is Hyojong. So now kind of keep thinking, challenging myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got time for one or two more people. Yes, Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, around 1975 was such a very difficult period for America. After Woodstock in '69, the culture switched. It like turned upside down. Many of the traditions were gone. The media was empowered with leftist, progressive people. The anti-war movement was extremely powerful. And Mother even alluded to it, left-wing groups opposed us in every conceivable way. And yet Father had a vision that he taught from even 1973. He showed General Electric films where Ronald Reagan was the spokesperson on behalf of conservative values. And then he became the governor of California. And this one time for presidency, Father worked the most hard to elect one particular person to be president, and that was Ronald Reagan. And that was inconceivable for people, you know, in many ways. But our members faithfully, we promoted that on the MFT and throughout whatever we could do as members. And he ran to get the nomination in 1976. He lost to Jimmy Carter, but his farewell, his speech, concession speech, more or less, was so gripping, it gripped the whole nation. And we knew he was guaranteed to win in 1980, you know, by that. But what really happened was when America pulled out of Vietnam, Father did a lot of work in Congress and with rallies supporting Nixon. And the key thing is he told us, as Mother alluded to in this book, he said, if Vietnam is lost, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos will all fall. So all these leftist groups had this and that to say about everything, you know, all the time. Minor little things, they turned into big scandals, you know. But after Cambodia fell, we knew 5 million people were being killed. The whole world knew it, you know, but not one word from any progressive organization or leftist organization. And that was heartbreaking to see, you know. And, you know, 5 million people. And then finally Reagan got in and he began to turn things around. But we've been back and forth over the decades, you know.
But the military, the government got involved, right, in the Vietnam War. It wasn't just the military. Wasn't the government supposed to? Wasn't the military supposed to lead the way? But the politics of the president got all. Anyway.
Well, it was a very confusing time, and I think there's too many angles to bring up. I'm sorry. It's like a superstorm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll let you guys sort it out later.
So our final person can be Kim. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, what little footnote in history is that during the Vietnam War, what wasn't understood was that well, not often reported, was that there was war going on at the 38th parallel. Quite a lot of Americans died patrolling the parallel because Kim Il-sung at that time was taking advantage of America's focus to Vietnam to do a lot of incursions. So a lot of those soldiers that were based in Korea at that time were never really recognized, but they were in a war situation just as dangerous as in Vietnam in many cases, and quite a number died. So yeah, just because Kim Il-sung was taking advantage of the atmosphere of the time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Kim. So, and now it's time for us to pray. We have many sobering thoughts that we can reflect on as we pray. So I'll just share the screen. Let's pray together.
กิโล
Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
God bless. Have a lovely day.
Lovely day.